Okay, so let's talk about The Dancing Detective, A Deadly Tango. My first impression and thoughts are I freaking loved it. I knew I was gonna love it. My Will and Lacey bias is absolutely at play. It's turned up to 10, and I fully admit that. I don't care. I loved it. Christmas Waltz is one of my favorite Christmas movies. I watch it every year, and Will and Lacey were just amazing in it until the very end, which was very abrupt, and it kind of ruined the whole thing, but I still love them in it, and it wasn't their fault. It was editing, directing, or whatever. But anyways, I was very excited to see them together again and dancing, and I smiled through the whole thing and just loved it. Now, did I believe the story? Not so much. I did like the writing. I thought the dialogue was good and moved well, and Lacey and Will delivered it really well. But the story just didn't do it for me. I think because they started it off by showing you a beverage being poisoned, and we all know by now that poison is a woman's method of murder, so you're like, okay, it's a girl. And then they show you the person leaving the room, and you can see their full body, and you're like, okay, yeah, it's definitely a petite woman. So I wish they had just shown like the feet, walking away in some unisex shoes to not give quite as much away in the first 2 minutes. Because then we meet all the women options, and there's really only 2 of them it could be, and they're definitely trying to make you think it could be this one, so obviously it's this one. And then certain things she says, you're like, yeah, totally. Other parts of the story were just hard to believe, and of course these are Hallmark movies, and movies in general, you have to suspend your disbelief, and sometimes I can and sometimes I just can't. And there were just a lot of things in this one, like Lacey even going over to Malta. Like, sure, it was the senator or congressman whatever's brother, but she would have no jurisdiction to do anything over there. So I kind of wish they'd had Will in New York, and just done something there. Not that I didn't love Malta. Malta was gorgeous, and I loved that we got so many shots of it. Sometimes when they're on location, I don't feel like we see much of the location, but they showed us a lot of Malta, and it was beautiful, and I did enjoy that, and all the balcony scenes, which they did kind of have to blur the background of that. I heard is because you could like see from certain places like where other scenes were shot, so I don't know, maybe they didn't want people focusing on that or something. But anyways, it was beautiful. I loved that we got a lot of shots of Malta, and apparently the Malta cats. There were a lot of cats in that B-roll, which was cute. But yeah, the story overall, it was fine. Nothing crazy. I wasn't surprised, but I still enjoyed it. Will and Lacey still made me have fun, and I was smiling the entire time. Certain scenes I liked. That first scene where we see Lacey and she's walking down the hall, and the mail guy or whoever comes with that cart, and she just does a little whoop, and I love that. That was cute. And when she meets Will and he's teaching that class, and no one in that class can dance, so I would fit right in because I cannot find rhythm to save my life. He was giving me some Hugh Grant vibes when he was dancing around, and it made me think of Hugh Grant in Love Actually. That was cute. I loved their kind of first interaction, the sarcasm and just him reading her body language, and he's like, you are not happy to be here. So yeah, I loved their dynamic and how she's just like annoyed with him, and she kind of comes around, which that was another unbelievable thing. Like, they're gonna put a Broadway actor undercover with Lacey. I don't know, guys. The story, I just couldn't do it. But everything else was great. I loved the water dancing scene. Of course, that was adorable. Loved that he was teaching her the back and forth between the partners and the trust, and I think we all saw the fall in the water coming, but I am not complaining about it. That also gave me some Hugh Grant vibes from Bridget Jones's Diary, and of course Pride and Prejudice vibes, and of course Bridgerton season 2 Lord Anthony vibes. So lots of fun callbacks to things. Oh, speaking of callbacks, the scene in the car where Will's trying out different characters and doing different accents. Obviously this was on purpose because Will knows we all hated his American accent. Not that he did a bad one, it's just we know Will and we know Will's accent and we want Will to talk in his accent. So I love that. Little shout out to the fans. I feel like Hallmark has been doing that a little more lately, and I love it. I mean, put little Easter eggs in there for your fans, and I think that's only going to make us fan harder, you know? I also loved the dream scene that we got, the black and white vintage look. Their dance was beautiful. They gave us the kiss that way. And I know some people hated the dancing, guys, but I loved it. I cannot dance, but I love watching people dance. I don't watch ballroom competitions, maybe I should, but anything in TV or Broadway shows when people are dancing, I just love it. There's something, I think, about having to like fully be in your body to dance and be free like that, and then with a partner to have that trust with them. I don't know, there's something about it that just gets me. I don't quite know how to explain it, so if you know how to explain it, please comment below and tell me. My husband and I actually tried to take some dance lessons, and we went to like 2, and then life got busy. But it was fun what we started, so maybe we'll get back to it one day. But I just think it's beautiful and fun, and maybe I like want to be that kind of person that's so comfortable in my body I can just dance. I don't know. I also loved all of the call outs to the different television detectives. I think there were like 9 or 10. We had Columbo, Stuart and Sally McMillan, which was how he named their undercover characters. Jonathan and Jennifer Hart, that was my favorite one because I loved the show Heart to Heart. Jessica Fletcher, of course. Who else? Rockford, Crockett. I thought they were gonna throw Tubbs in there somewhere, but they didn't. Perot, Benoit, was that a detective one? And then of course Sherlock and Watson. So that was fun. You could probably play a drinking game with that if you wanted to, or a drinking game with Lacey saying, what was she saying? Go with the flow. That phrase was said like 5 times in the span of like 10 minutes. So if you want to get drunk fast, do the game with that one. If you want like a, more sustained drinking, do the detective call outs. Yeah, you guys, I just had fun with this. I should probably only rate it like a 3.5. The story's just kind of middle of the road, but Lacey and Will elevate it. But I'd probably say a 4, just because I did love all of the dancing. I don't know how they're gonna do more of these. I would love to see Will and Lacey in more of these. And, the last line, wondering about what their next case would be, seems like they're setting it up. Like, yeah, there could be more. And I was listening to Will on Eric and Sydney's podcast, which I'll link below. And it sounded like, you know, they're like, yes, we would love if this took off and we could do a bunch. But I feel like they've now locked themselves into having to be about dancing every time, and I don't know how they're gonna do that in a way that could span, you know, a lot of movies without us being like, okay, how many murders can really happen at ballroom competitions, you know? So I don't know. But I would love to see more. I would totally watch more. I would watch those two in absolutely anything. So I am not a neutral. I am not Switzerland about Will and Lacey. They can do no wrong in my eyes. So what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you into the dancing? Do you never want to see dancing again? Do you also love Will and Lacey together? Although if you don't, please don't tell me, because then I don't know if we can be friends anymore. Just kidding. Even if you disagree with me, I would love to hear it, because those conversations are fun as well. So let me know what you thought, and then come back next time where we will be talking about wedding season.